Hi, I'm Eddie Burke. I've been the bartender at the Hollywood Improv for 40 years, and this is my podcast, Eddie's Bar at the Improv.
Oh my God! Pompa!
Just like old times.
Look at that, buddy. Just like my face. You both growing these pandemic beards. I actually got a haircut.
Wow, you look good.
Yeah, thanks. I had my personal barber over, which is my son.
All right.
And he gave me a 5, and here I am. And okay, you're recording, so let me just start.
Wait, let me hear Gene talk for a second.
Hey, this is Gene Pompa.
Oh, wait
Okay.
a second. I thought it was Gene Simmons.
Oh, yes.
So bummed.
Okay, go ahead. We'll work with
All right,
you.
you guys have a great interview. I'm going to mute myself. And
Wait, what are
Okay.
you calling?
I'm going to mute myself. I'm going to be here.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, he'll chime in whenever he wants.
Oh, he does? He gets to try.
Yeah.
Like
All righty, guys. All right. Now quiet down for a second there, Gene. Hey, guys. This is Eddie Burke, and this is another episode in quarantine life of everybody here of Eddie's Bar at the Improv podcast. And today, boy, do I have a guest. He is an actor, a writer, a comedian. He's Chicano to the bone. His name is Gene Pompa. Hi, Gene.
Hi, thank you for having me, my good sir.
Oh, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. I haven't talked to you or seen you in a long time other than, the last day or two.
Yeah, you know what? You left out in my intro. I'm also a microbiologist. So if you have any...
Oh, okay. So have you been working on this coronavirus?
Right now we're working on a vape pen that carries the vaccine, and then hopefully...
Okay, I'll look forward to that because I certainly need the vaccine, but so do you. We all do, don't we? Anyway, Mr. Pompa.
Good about it. Like, I have so many layers of health issues. COVID-19 is like the least of my worries.
I hate to say this, but I think we're all in the same category. COVID-19 would sort of be like a relief.
Yeah. Oh, that's all cool. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're all about to die anyway, but hopefully not for a while. So, Mr. Pompa, tell me something. Are you born and raised in LA?
Yeah, in the City of Angels, native Angelino.
Mm-hmm. And
I mean, I like growing up here. It's a place, believe it or not, people do. I think Mike's from San Diego, but people do grow up in Los Angeles, and you really have no perspective on the entertainment industry because it seems so far away when you're in the suburbs of like East LA. You don't really. Hollywood seems like another country.
So when you say the suburbs of East LA, what does that mean?
Like Whittier and maybe, even though Fullerton's Orange County, but like Whittier, La Mirada, where I grew up, Santa Fe Springs, Downey, some of those areas. That's
all right. When you were in school, when you were in high school, were you like a class clown?
I was actually, surprisingly, when I was in high school, I was one of the professors.
Okay.
Freshman year.
What did you profess?
They said, "What the hell are you doing in here reading? You should be at the front with the chalkboard instructing."
All right. And look at you now.
Yeah. Yeah, it worked out.
All right. When did you get interested in comedy?
I was watching...
Never, right? Go ahead.
Like Carlin. It was his birthday yesterday. May he rest in peace. But
Whose birthday?
I like Carlin, right?
Oh. Mm-hmm.
I like those types of comedians. Bill Cosby before he became a bad person, like George Carlin type. So I went to, I kid you not, I went to the La Mirada swap meet to get a comedy album. And this guy, he shows me Carlin and Pryor, and I said, I already heard those. And he goes, well, check out this guy. You really like him. He shows me Steve Martin, and I'm like, I'm not going to like this. This guy looks like an insurance salesman, And then I saw him on SNL hosting, and I realized how methodical it was. It wasn't what I thought. I thought it was like like a lot of people, you think comics are riffing. They're so quick-witted. It comes off the top of the head. You realize it's really well-crafted. And with Steve Martin, I saw that, this is like a different approach, but he's really doing the same thing everyone else does. Because if you see the same act, you see him the same time, 3 nights in a row, he's doing the same act.
Right. Well,
it became a combination of acting and writing, so that's the only reason I kind of pursued stand-up.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you? I've learned over the years that comedy is not generally just off the top when you do stand-up. It's a good talent to have, but at the same time, every comedian works to hone their craft, to hone their routine. It's not like you just get up on stage and do your thing.
Yeah, even with Robin Williams, I remember being surprised when he would pop into the Comedy Store before I had started, and so he was running sets, and I'm like, and everyone's like, he doesn't know what he's going to say next. I'm like, he just said that last night at the exact same time. The curtain was pulled kind of early,
Yeah, he's a rarity. He's an aberration. They're like, there aren't many like him that, even though he knows what he's doing or knew what he was doing, he could come up off the cuff with just about anything.
Oh, he was brilliant off the cuff, and also his brilliance was most people thought everything he did was off the cuff, and they're surprised to find out that he got in a little bit of trouble when he would do other people's bits, and he would say, hey, sometimes I hear something funny and I repeat it, which is not a great excuse.
No, in fact, since you bring that up, I heard a story once where he came out of the Laugh Factory, and he had just did some routine or joke that was somebody else's, and when he walked out, I don't know if the guy said anything to him or not, but he just took out a $50 bill and said, thanks for the material. Yeah, something like that.
I heard it went up over the years.
Yes, I think
someone said it. You could call his manager if he did it. Maura Bresner, I think, were the guys. Yeah. If you heard him do like hit your bit on the Tonight Show, they would just pony up a check to you. He wouldn't question it. He didn't want the hassle, and he had the money. So
Gene, when did you get interested in comedy?
Probably
comedy.
Well, I will tell you, the Mexican comedy was because I'd seen Paul Rodriguez and I'd seen Cheech, right?
Professional comedy.
So they had done that kind of comedy, right? They had done they already did the kind of Chicano comedy. So I thought, all right, I got to be like Steve Martin. Honestly, I thought I'd be like Steve Martin, Bill Cosby. I tried to be like clean like Bill Cosby, and Bill Cosby didn't patronize his ethnicity. So I thought, okay, I don't want to be a funny Mexican or funny Mexican American, but I want to touch on it, my experiences, because I wanted to deal with some stereotypes that I was dealing with growing up and stuff. But that was kind of the balance. And then I just watched it for a long time, like a lot of people, and then finally went up on stage at the Comedy Store. This must have been maybe 88, 89. And I had watched it for like a couple of years there from the back of the room. And so it was Monday night where they, the open mic. And so I missed the open mic, but somehow I ended up sitting next to Mitzi in the back of the room in the OR.
Wow, okay.
And she gave some guy the light. And I said, so I figured out what the light was by then, obviously. And I said, why'd you give him the light? And she said, because he's just fucking around. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, I was surprised to hear her use swear and be so unfiltered. And then she goes, you're going to go on next. She goes, why don't you go on next? And I was like, oh, all right. But I was, really nervous. I was left. I'm like, I don't know. But I had to. And it was full, right?
Who did you think you were? Did she think you were Paul Rodriguez?
Was that? No, I don't know. No, I think she disliked me because I don't think she met Mexican Americans that weren't dark skinned or maybe had an accent or something. So I don't think she knew what to make of me. But I did so I go up on stage and I do my first bit, right? And I'm not kidding, it kills. Like, it really just kills. And then the audience, but I don't really have any stage mechanics, so the audience had stopped laughing, but I was still kind of laughing at my bit, like they had stopped laughing, but I was still laughing. Like I had to laugh, I do 2 more minutes, and it just eats it, right? I start off so strong, the one first bit killed, and then the next 2 minutes just ate it really hard. I'll tell you the tag on my closer. The tag on my closer the first night I did stand up was, it wasn't, turns out it wasn't diarrhea, it was gonorrhea. So whatever the setup was.
I love that, huh? So, you talk about Mexican American, but I understand that there was a period of your life in the 70s when you decided to become a cholo.
Yeah. Yeah. I went to my skateboarding cholo phase.
How did that go for you?
It didn't go well. I'll tell you what happened, because so I grew up, La Mirada was like 20% Mexican American, the rest of it was kind of white, right? A little bit of Asian. But so I was kind of choloing up a little bit, but then by the time we got to like junior high school, when you really have to make a decision, which is weird, like if you're going to be a low rider or a surfer, right? Which you can't do either one. You're only like 13.
Yeah, interesting. One or the other, right?
Yeah, you're not going to get to the beach on a surfboard. So, but then I started noticing like some of the guys that decided to be lowriders or cholos, right? Like there weren't even enough of them to put together a decent gang. And I'm like, I'm not going to fucking be a part of that.
Well, you you're in the suburbs of East LA. So it's like, yeah.
So like in La Mirada, there weren't enough like hardcore cholos to put together a decent gang. And so that's kind of, I wanted people to like me. And I'm like, I don't hang out with them. No one likes them.
So that kind of went the way of the Edsel or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny too, because then years later you see Snoop Dogg or some of the hip hop artists, they would kind of use, Chicano culture, the lowrider cars and stuff in their videos. So eventually it became kind of universal. Like even in Japan, the lowriders became this big thing back in the 80s and 90s. But that still never made me want to be a lowrider, except for my Cadillac.
No, huh?
Plus, my mom would have killed me. My mom wasn't allowed to.
And nobody would have blamed her at all. Not in the least. When did you first get to perform at the Improv?
That was really through Mark Lano. With the Improv back in the day, and even in the early 90s, it was rare for a comic to play all 3 rooms, right? To play store, Laugh Factory, and Laugh Factory was kind of a middle or neutral ground. But you really had to pick between the store and the Improv. So this guy, Eric Fagan, he was being kind of a prick, just make me jump through so many hoops. And Mark Brazil, and I think it was Dave Becky, they had recommended me to him a few times. So I couldn't get the showcase from him, he just, so finally Mark Lano took over the showcases, right? Right. He didn't like the way Eric was handling it. And then there was a big crew of us that came in through Mark Lano. So we kind of became Team Lano, and then it was a team Bud Friedman, right? That Bud had his favorites, whoever it was, Chuck Booms.
Chuck Booms, please. God. Okay, go on. I'll tell you Chuck Booms story.
So Mark finally, Mark passed me. So then once Mark passed me, and I talked to Mark, and he said, he's the one that mentioned you should be doing TV. You have a lot of clean stuff. And I said, yeah, I try to keep it clean. And at the time I did, not so much now. But he said, you should do our show and stuff. And then just by coincidence, Bud saw me maybe a week or 2 later at Melrose doing a showcase. And then I did Evening at the Improv. And then I was in the lineup because Bud and Mark, I guess, would sign off on it. At first, you would only work Mark's nights. So you'd be working Santa Monica Improv, right? Or or Melrose on a Monday or Tuesday. Those were your nights for if you were his boy.
And then Bud took a liking to you.
Yeah, but then Bud passed and everything was cool. So then I started getting regular spots at the Improv. But really, yeah, I kind of came in under Mark's wing.
Who were your idols as a comedian growing up or whatever? I assume, like you said earlier, maybe Cheech and Chong, or do you have?
I like
Mexican idols.
Such a different style. Everyone liked Cheech and Chong because it wasn't a style that I was going to really pursue. Plus, I liked that he was from Los Angeles. I liked that Cheech was really a character. Like I got to know him years later, and he's a big art aficionado. He has like the biggest Chicano art collection in the world. His dad was a cop. Like, so
really
the opposite of what you would think how Cheech may have grown up. He grew up in San Pedro, not East LA. He was kind of a middle-class kid. But I think I liked, I probably liked Steve Martin and Woody Allen because they were comics, and Albert Brooks, because they were comics that would write and then act in their own films, kind of like the old guys did back in the day, when it was Laurel and Hardy and whoever.
Well, you've had it. I'd say you are having a varied career. You've done a bunch of acting, a bunch of writing, and obviously a lot of stand-up. You've appeared in Bucky Larson.
Yeah, I stole the movie.
That's right. That's one. Was that the one where you played the gay hairdresser?
Yeah. The hairdresser.
What?
That movie didn't do gangbusters at the box office, but eventually it had a little bit of like a cult following, like Grandma's Boy. So once in a while, I run into younger people like in their 20s, and they'll be looking at me strange because and I figure, well, they probably don't know me because I don't have a podcast or some of the things that younger people gravitate to now. And then they'll yell out Tomas. I'm like, oh shit. So some people see it actually. Okay. But I guess it's probably because the other outlets now, right? Because you got Netflix, 5 other ways to see it. So that actually ended up being a blessing. That was cool. Then that got me the film Just Go With It. It was a small part, but it was cool with Jennifer Aniston. And then I got to make out with her for a while.
All right. And
it was supposed to be just me pretending to grab her breasts. And then finally in rehearsal, because I kept being apprehensive, I didn't want to be disrespectful, so I wouldn't grab her breast. I would just get really close. So finally, during rehearsal, she grabbed my hand. She goes, just grab it. And then she started massaging her breast with my hand. And then which really threw me off guard, she licked my finger and she put it where she goes pee-pee.
Mike, I guess we're doing an erotic podcast here, but okay. I love it. That's great. I'm having a cramp in my leg. I'm backing up. What is sort of like your aspiration after my cramp goes away? Your aspiration, is it to continue to do everything like you're doing, like writing, stand-up, acting, or whatever? Or do you have something you kind of like want to focus on?
Well, unfortunately, that ship has sailed probably. Like how you start off and you have a certain vision. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, and this will happen and that'll happen. And then that domino will fall, So really, I'll tell you what's surprising. What I set out to do, I'm still on track to do, because I was such a Steve Martin fan and so influenced by him, right? The way his career worked, his career path. So he did 4 comedy albums, right? And then I forgot how many Bill Cosby had done. So my goal for a long time was, okay, if I'm going to be a real comedian, I have to by the end of my career, I have to put out 4 comedy albums. So my 3rd comedy album, which is just coming out, I mean, I just have the audio from it. So we got to edit it. But so that's the 3rd one. So I'm on track to actually meet that goal because it came full circle. Remember, it was like 1 hour specials, and now we're back to vinyl again.
Oh,
so
really? You've done a number of
albums. I've met that part, but the part where people come out to see me at big arenas, that hasn't transpired.
Well, you never know. I mean, all you got to do is get one show. or something, and then you're out there with everybody. But you've started to say you've done a number of specials. You've done Comedy Central and everything, and you've appeared numerous times on Conan, Late Night with Conan, and
8 Conans, and I did half a dozen of the late shows on CBS. Yeah, a couple of specials on Comedy Central, and now, of course, the game keeps shifting, which is weird. Like, those big arenas that like Ron White or Gabriel Iglesias would play, those are no longer going to be around for a while. Which makes me feel good because they're losing millions of dollars, and because I didn't go down that path, I'm not losing that kind of money.
You're not losing anything. Well, God, that's funny, but it's true. There's going to be a big void out there in terms
of going the direction like what we're doing now to some extent, right? Because like sometimes, the first time I heard of someone getting like famous from a clip was Angela Johnson. She had done Comedy Time, and it went through all these phones, and it was just one bit out of her act, but that was enough to build a following. And then now I see guys. I forgot what comic I saw last at the Melrose Improv. Oh, I wish I could remember his name, but he's like a young YouTuber dude, and he sold out 2 shows on a Tuesday, and I was like, wow. And I met him like 3 or 4 years earlier. At San Jose when he was, I think, still going to college, and he was just doing a guest set. And now he
the power of YouTube and social media is just crazy. There are people that perform on there that are very talented and do sell out clubs and whatever. And then there's another group that perform on there and just become known and perform at a club. And they will sell it out at least once or twice, but can't back up what they do.
That happened a little bit. Hey, Bianca, what was the name of that kid I told you about that does YouTube?
I'm not Bianca.
Oh, never mind.
Who were you talking to?
Well, I thought I was talking to my daughter.
Right.
I was talking to the foreman.
Anyway, back to us, Gene Pompa.
Yes, indeed.
Your experiences at the Improv, because
protector, yes, sir.
Yeah, your experiences at the Improv as a comedian. What are some of the memorable moments that you have? I mean, was the first time going up there, like I'm in awe of what I'm doing moment?
Oh, yeah. I remember like the first, because what happens when you're coming up, of course, is you're playing to sparse rooms. You're not playing to full rooms. And so the showcase that Bud seen me on, Shank Forbes had put it together with someone else. And there was like 6 or 7 of us, and the room was packed. And I had not really played the room at Melrose. I played Santa Monica packed a couple of times, but never Melrose. So it was one of those things that happens in a comic's life or career. That night, I had the longest, best set like ever up to that point. And Bud was in the room, MTV was in the room, and Star Search.
And that was your first time?
First time at Melrose Improv.
Right.
Yeah. And then I got booked in all 3 of these shows that night. And so I was able to quit my job at Good Guys.
And you started working at Best Buy?
Yeah, I switched over to Best Buy straight.
Right. Well, you picked a great time.
I used to work for Nordstrom. I used to sell shoes at Nordstrom before I did stand-up. So I had a nice wardrobe and everything. The thing with Nordstrom...
You had no shoes?
Yeah, I sold men's shoes, or women's shoes and men's shoes. Men's shoes are better to sell because men don't return their stuff.
Right.
Women return everything. And it goes against you. But once you're in the system at Nordstrom, you can come back anytime and just work their sale for like 3 or 4 days and be on straight commission. So there'd be times like when I was scrambling or didn't have gigs, I would go work at Nordstrom and sell shoes for 3 or 4 days and make like $2,000, and that would carry me over.
You could still go back there now, I guess, because they're going to be closing soon. I mean,
and now that's a business model that's gone. All the brick and mortar stores are being
going the way of our quarantine. There's
Well,
not-
the next one's going to be car dealerships. That's too much real estate to be doing nothing with, and the price of real estate is so insane. You could put 500 condos on your average.
Let's hope all of this leads to something that's halfway decent, because right now it looks like the whole world is going to be a hell of a lot different. But getting back to Gene Pompa.
That was the biggest night. The worst night I had there was I was supposed to do 20 minutes, and sometimes, I'm one of those comics, I really usually have to prepare, especially early on. I liked mapping out my sets. I didn't like going up there freestyle or having, just a semblance of what I was going to do. I like being kind of mapped out. And one night I was supposed to do 20 minutes, and I hadn't been, they weren't giving me a lot of 20-minute sets at Melrose, so this was important that I do well. I don't know what happened, man. My timing was off, and I burned through my material like in 12 minutes. And then I'm scrambling. I'm like, I don't know if I can fill this back 7 or 8 minutes. And I actually didn't know that much about I didn't know that, I thought the light was, okay, that's as much as you can do. But I thought it was an option. If you wanted, you could leave before the light.
Okay.
13 and a half minutes. That's cool. Right? I get off stage.
Whoa.
Yeah. And the manager.
Learning the hard way. I could ask you if you've ever done anything the easy way, but I think that goes without saying.
I got in trouble with you once. Well, I got in trouble with you a few times, but I mean, one time in particular, going back to Mark Lano, because I always felt, like Mark, I have a personal relationship with still to this day. He came to my wedding and stuff, and we're good friends. But so remember, drinks were for comics. It was 75 cents, and you could order whatever drink you wanted for 75 cents. So you could get like a Long Island iced tea.
Right.
So one day I was in there with a girl, and I was a little short on cash. So I bought both of our drinks on the comics discount.
Oh my God! No wonder you got in trouble with me.
Cole busted me. Hey, did you just give her one of your discounts? He goes, oh man. I go, yeah. And you go, okay, well, listen, if it happens again, I'm going to let Mark Lano know, and it might be difficult for you to continue to work here, or something to that effect, right? But and you were protecting the bar and the club, which is great, and the business. But for me, like, it was more like I was going to get with my dad. Like, I didn't want Mark to be disappointed in me because he had faith in me and brought me into the club. So after that, I never violated that.
Again.
I was just
you learned your life. I was such a dick.
that situation, didn't you have to be kind of a hard ass sometimes? Because people would be
oh God. I mean, even to this day, it's kind of like, as far as being a bartender, everybody, even the comics, that are doing well, will sometimes give you a hard time. Like, you mean I have to pay for this? And I always go go ask the manager. I just follow the rules.
Yeah, good.
I'm told that's the price and that's it. Yeah, but I just went on. So I know. Or like, I perform here all the time. I know. But you know what? This is Hollywood. There are like 20, 30 guys on a given night. Yeah, but when I play the Improv in Texas, I eat and drink for free. That's because there's only 2 of you on.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. It's
that's true. The club would go upside down if you got 500 comics in L.A.
And we do. We get people that come in and they'll say to me, they'll order a drink and they'll say like, well, I'm a comic. Do I get a discount? And I won't know them from Adam. And I'll go like, well, are you performing tonight? And they go, no, I just got into town. Oh, give me a break, guys. As soon as you get a paid spot, you'll get discounted drinks. I said, I just follow the rules here. I don't.
It's better that way. Make them jump through a few hoops. It's like
You got to keep everybody honest. That's the best way to do it.
And how complicated is that? It should be a simple thing to adjust to.
Oh, it is. It gets taken care of pretty easily.
So what I'll do, like if you don't discount a drink to me, I take. So like I figure, okay, he could have discounted, given me the comic price on this. I'm going to take 2 of these lights on the.
Yes, I know. In fact, I meant to tell you, like when we go back, if we ever do go back, I would like those candles back because.
You want it back? I just need a charger. I got it.
Yeah, I'm not getting you a charger.
Oh no, I just need a charger.
Those little candles. You've stolen the holders probably, but the charger, I'm going to make you suffer. You are not going to get a charger. So bring back the candles because you can't use them, pal.
So you're saying on the record, I bring in the 12 lights, you give me a charger?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I said you're not going to get a charger, so you may as well bring the lights back. Otherwise, they're just going to sit there and just die wherever you've got them.
They've already done it. They're kind of cool for a while, then they go out. I'm like, oh, now what?
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Yeah, if they don't have a charger. Hey, are you a big Beatles fan?
Yes, indeed. Oh, that was the other I was going to mention as you were saying, like the big moments at the club.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the biggest moment, not of just the club, of my life. Oh, Carano took the picture when Sir Paul McCartney was in the room. And I was fortunate enough, I went up the night before after Dane Cook. And people, and I'm not trying to dog Dane Cook, but friends of mine that were watching Paul McCartney watch the comics, they said, you know, he didn't really enjoy Dane, but he really enjoyed your set. Like he was seriously like, and I think it was maybe mine's a little more offbeat or whatever. So when I saw him, forgive me, it was like a week later, someone comes up to me and they said, hey, your boy's here. And I said, who's that? And they go, Sir Paul. And I went, oh, Rodriguez, right? Because I work with Paul. I was like, oh, Rodriguez is here?
Yeah, and you were serious, right?
Yeah, and he was like, no, McCartney. And then just because we had that kind of connection, like, well, he liked my stuff, I hit him up for the photo, and I hit up Mike, and I go, listen, I'm going to try to, get a photo from McCartney without being too overbearing. Just kind of goes, all right. He goes, I'll wait for it. I'll watch for it. So then we kind of set it up, and I said, hey, Sir Paul sees me, and he goes, hey, he didn't remember my name, but I don't care. He goes, hey, like he remembered seeing me. So that was enough. And I said, how's it going? And I said, hey, forgive me. I said, 1,000 pardons. I go, do you mind if I get a quick photo with you? My wife wanted to say hi to you when we were at Coachella. And I said that I told her not to because, we were backstage and you seemed like you were, kind of busy. And he goes, well, if I take a photo with you, how do you know we'll make a more mad? That's what he said.
Well, from what I remember, I never got to meet him personally or anything, but I did see him there. From what I saw, he was a really nice guy, very nice to everybody. And what was funny about that night that he was there, or one of the nights, is that there were a whole bunch of comics hanging out in the hall that were about to try, I guess, some new material. And then they find out that Paul McCartney's in the room, and they all start going, oh, shit, now I got to do my A stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't do all the stuff that I worked on. And he also was very funny. He got a picture with Avery. Remember Avery? Yeah. In the bathroom.
Those were the photos that made me feel like he would be more approachable because I guess they asked him and he said, well, he has said to the guys, let's take some photos in here in the middle. And so like it was his idea to be kind of lighthearted and silly. So it made me feel more comfortable to approach him. But I will say this, remember Jamie, who was the talent coordinator?
Sure.
Okay, that little prick, he somehow prostituted himself into my photo with Sir Paul McCartney.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, and he tells me later, now it's fine, because I get it. It's a Beatle, but He's like, oh, I've been a fan my whole life. I mean, yeah, but
Photoshop, you can cut them out.
yeah, that's what I had to do.
That's all these new miracles of technology these days. It's kind of funny that the bookers that you mentioned, when you become a booker at the Improv, and I'm sure it's the same at the Store and the Laugh Factory, it becomes a power trip. It's not even going by talent half the time. It's more like, I'm in charge, so I'll put up who I want. I don't care if they're funny or not,
Oh, absolutely. It's a heady experience. I mean, that's how I thought Eric Fagan was. I mean, I don't want to dog him out, but he seemed to be like, that was the first time I realized some talent coordinators, they get this kind of thing of power about them, and like almost to the point where they really believe, I control everyone's careers. It's like, well, it's not quite, you don't have quite that level of power, but you should be a little more gracious. But I get it. It's probably the most power some of these people have experienced in their first time in their lives.
But I don't get. I still don't get it. As much as I see it, it's your job to sort of nourish the talent. Your job to kind of put up the best people you can. Your job to put up a variety of different people, and you can still have that power. But you don't.
There's been some great talent coordinators at the club over the years. There's been some not so great, who will remain nameless. But yeah, absolutely. And I remember talking to one guy. I was put off by an act that was very kind of pedestrian and hacky and horribly unfunny and generic, but would kill. And the talent coordinator at the time says, sometimes we have to have those guys. We just, doesn't matter that they're hacky. We need them. They're crowd pleasers. They light up the room. But enough about Chuck Booms.
but you know what? That's like, I agree with that. You do have to have them only because they are making the audience laugh.
Yeah, and the audience.
That is what it's all about.
I had a guy ask me once, a dear friend, which is always more disconcerting.
You have dear friends?
No, I don't have a lot. So Charles Fleischer went up after me, right? So a friend came out to hang out at the club. Because one thing about the Improv that's always been steadfast is it has kind of a nightclub vibe because of that bar that's out front, right, in that lounge. So you can hang out there. You can even meet girls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A regular
a nightclub.
Yeah, it is like very nice.
Venue, yeah.
But this guy went, I went up, and then Fleischer goes up, and of course Fleischer destroys, right? And the comic, it wasn't a comic, my friend goes, man, is it hard to continue doing stand-up after you see someone that's that much better than you? Personally, that's a different approach. I don't know if I'd categorize it.
This is an ex-friend, right?
Yeah.
I know. It's weird how your best friends try very hard to take you down in their own way. I mean, how do you say that to somebody? You can say like, wow, that's going to be tough to follow.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't go like, he's so much better than you. Why are you going to go up there? I mean, which is basically what he's saying.
Yeah, it's like, you will never be that good.
Oh, boy. What other people or memories do you have about performing there or hanging out there? Because as well, you've been there for a long time now.
Yeah, it's my home club.
Yes,
Forever.
It is. And
we're steadfast about that being our home club. Craig Robinson, myself, Nick Swanson, a few others. That's our room. The Comedy Store has their guys, and we have ours. Yeah,
everybody has their own, and there's plenty of stuff to go around, plenty of people to go around, and plenty of audiences to go around. But besides Paul McCartney, the other people that you might have met. Is there anybody that stands out to you over the years, celebrity-wise?
Outside of Byron Allen and Chuck Booms?
All right, I'm going to tell you the Chuck Boom story since you bring.
Chuck Boom.
He's like, okay, this is Jerry Seinfeld's show was I think it was the first or second season of the show. Let's say it's the second season, and if you remember the first two seasons, I believe he did a little stand-up routine before the show on NBC on his show. So he would come in and work it out every week or every night, whatever he did. And obviously at that point, he's a very well-known entity, Jerry Seinfeld. And Chuck Booms, nobody knows who Chuck Booms is, but he's there every night, performing every night. And he's in the hall, and in walks Jerry. And the manager at that time was Crystal. I don't know if you remember Crystal.
Yeah, I remember Crystal, yes.
And Jerry obviously, asked to go up, and she obviously said okay, which meant that Chuck Booms was going to be bumped. Not necessarily not performing, just pushed back.
Yeah.
So Jerry goes up, and he's on, and Booms is in the hallway throwing a fit. I can't believe that you're letting him go up instead of me, and blah, blah, blah. And she's trying to quell the situation with him until she got to the point where she just goes, Chuck, you see that door over there that you came in? You can just as easily go out. You do not have to stay here.
Oh, good.
It's Jerry Seinfeld. It's what this club is all about. And it's, you gain a certain amount of celebrity, and you gain that privilege of walking in and people letting you go on.
Yeah, you've earned your stripes. That's the...
Yeah. So that's a Chuck Boom story, which was pretty typical.
Yeah. Oh, man. You go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's just pretty typical of Chuck Booms.
No, he completely had his mind. We were on, and don't get me wrong, when I say I'm kind of Team Lano, that doesn't mean I don't love Bud, because the fact that Bud somehow was able to navigate all these dysfunctional individuals and still be kind of this fatherly type, because sometimes he would come across very fatherly, other times, if he told you to, do something.
Get out of the hall.
Yeah.
Stand in the hallway.
Other times he would be very kind of fatherly and kind,
Bud would always, one thing about Bud, he comes off exactly how you say, in the sense that he could be fatherly, he could be bossy or whatever. But if you're ever in need, he will be there. As far as the comedians are concerned, he would help anybody,
Right. And you might think you're not even on his radar. One New Year's Eve, I didn't have a gig. I'm not a New Year's Eve act. Anyways, to be honest, I'm not high energy. But,
At the bar, though.
What's that?
You're really great at the bar.
Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck, I can hold court all night there.
Yeah.
But, so I was with my girlfriend, and Bud, we knew each other. He goes, hey, Gene, what are you doing New Year's? Him and Lucian kind of have the same voice. Oh, Gene. I go, I don't have any plans. And he goes, oh, if anyone wants some comic to come in and just do 20 minutes, you can work clean, right? I'm like, yeah. And it was like $1,200, right? Which I thought, that's great, So, and it was in Arrowhead. And I went with my girlfriend, who, now she's my wife. I went with my girlfriend, and that was one of the best New Year's I ever had. And what's great when you have a really supportive girlfriend is that they'll intro you. Like if you're in a private situation, we're at this Lake Arrowhead resort, and it's a mixed crowd. It's elderly, and then there's like some snowboarders and this and that. It's like probably 50, 60 people. Oh, and an actor named, he was in the Adam Sandler film Happy Gilmore. Mike McDonald, what's that guy's name?
Yeah, Mike. He's an actor, right? He was on. Was he on the Yes Year with Anthony Clark?
Oh no, that's a different guy. This
Mad TV Mike McDonald or Canadian Mike McDonald?
No, he was an actor. He was in Happy. Was it Happy Gilmore or Happy? What was the golf movie that Sandler did.
The golf movie?
Yeah, that was Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, so anyway, it's this very prominent actor. So surprisingly, he was there. And that kind of put, I go, oh, he goes, hey, you should talk about this. And I said, no, actually, I go, I'm kind of scripted, right? I think it was.
Oh, don't you love that when people tell you what you should,
Yeah. And as an actor, he was kind of saying, be in the moment. I'm like, no, we're just like you. I'm trying to explain to him, no, we're scripted. And
we're on the pages. They may not be in front of us.
Yeah.
And it might not be in our face, but yeah, we worked hard.
Yeah, because I wanted to appease him because he was a cool dude, He was a nice guy. And so I just had my wife do like 2 minutes up front. I said, she's not in a comic.
No. Did you really?
Yeah. I said, here's what you got to do. Go up there, get their attention, and then here's what you're going to do for 2 minutes. You're going to go up there, you're going to get their attention, let them know that the comic's coming up momentarily, and then mention a couple of events they're having around the resort, and then give my credits, give me like 4 or 5, so you get their attention, and then bring me up. And I gotta say, my wife is such an angel. Like even the bed and breakfast Bud put us up at, right? Right as soon as my wife gets there, she's really nice to the lady who owns it. The next day, she brings her muffins, all the shit that I would never do because I'm an asshole,
right?
Or inconsiderate. Yeah. And it was the best experience of my life doing that night. And it was with my girlfriend. It was romantic, and Bud, like.
Was she used to speaking or performing in front of people?
What's that?
Was she used to speaking or performing in front of people?
At one time, my wife wanted to be a, they call them newsreaders now, but she wanted to be an anchor person. She wanted
okay.
Because she worked for KTLA for a long time. And when we first met, she wanted to put together actually a show reel to see if she could still do it. Because she was only like 28 when we met, So it wasn't like she was past her prime to still pursue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then so she did like an interview with me, and it went fine. Like I tried to help her relax, but it was like Albert Brooks in broadcast news. She was just so.
I can imagine your wife, girlfriend at that time or whatever, trying to interview you. Yeah. Okay.
And so after that, she decided.
She never became an anchor.
She was comfortable enough in front of people to kind of. She's still a little bit like I Love Lucy. Still wanted to be in the act a little bit. And
she just went on to become an executive at CBS. So, nothing.
The thing with Bud, from what I heard, also the reason he had such an affinity for Chuck Booms was that if I forgot who it was, it might have been Brogan or someone said Chuck likes put down comics. He enjoys like the Don Rickles types and that type. So maybe that's why he had this affinity for Chuck Booms.
That could be.
Maybe.
We'll never know because you never know why anybody has an affinity for anybody or, what sticks out. You also have a daughter.
Yeah, a lovely daughter, which I found out recently. She works.
You just found out you had a lovely daughter recently?
I knew she was lovely, but I didn't know she worked in a capacity that would be helpful to me. I just found out under quarantine, she works for she does social media. She works for a media company where she just takes care of all this social media. And I'm like, I don't even know how to do TikTok. Can you help me out with TikTok or whatever? I'm like, so she writes like slogans and stuff for their, maybe their Instagram or things of that nature.
Right.
So she kind of punches it up. And then I was talking to Andrew Santino like 2 or 3 nights ago.
Mm-hmm.
He has a guy who does his TikTok for him.
Oh my God! Well, you know what? I should talk to your daughter because I have no idea what I'm doing, and I could probably use some additional help because I don't have a clue about Instagram and all the rest, and I should be I'm on them, but
I'm in the same boat, and you got to be diligent to stay on top of it. Corano, for him, it's kind of second nature. I mean,
I know that stuff kind of pisses me off sometimes.
It's death now if we don't adjust.
Yeah, the people that you just go they go, touch that button and there you go and you're set. And you spend 6 hours trying to figure out what to do. And that's me. I can spend hours on end trying to figure out what I'm doing. And somebody like Michael come along and just touch a button.
Yeah.
And there it is. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, I'm trying to get better. I'm really I'm Googling stuff to just find out some technological things that I just don't know what I'm literally, like you said, I don't know what I'm doing at all. So I'll just Google like, oh, okay, so that's how it works. Like even Insta story. Oh, so I got to not put the picture, do it on Instagram photo, then you can put it in your story. I can't do regular camera and transfer it. I didn't even realize Instagram is geared towards just phones for the most part.
Well, what is TikTok?
TikTok to me seems like a new Vine where it's like a 7-second or 8
right. Okay.
It's a little longer, but it does seem geared to, or it's devolving to young people under 18. Like it's.
Yeah, well, we've certainly gotten off topic.
I'll tell you one good thing about Chuck Booms. One time, because we were on a flight to Atlanta, and he was doing one club, I was doing another, and we're sitting there. And for some reason, Chuck Booms, when he goes on, I want to pile on Chuck Booms, but he's kind of a dick. He carries a stuffed animal with him when he flies, right? Like a emotional support stuffed animal. Mm-hmm. That's fine. Everyone has their thing. Okay. So the flight attendant comes over, and Chuck right away goes into a spiel, and he wants them to know how important he is, right? But he's grading. Mm-hmm. So the flight attendant, after he's finished with the spiel, goes, "How come you're not sitting in first class?" That's
beautiful. I love it. I'll tell you something. I'll tell you what I think is a nice story about him is. A few years ago, or maybe it's probably longer than that, Chuck had left. He moved back to Cleveland or wherever he was from, and I hadn't heard from or of him in years. And it's like I'm driving home one night at like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and I put on I think it was ESPN radio or something. And lo and behold, he is hosting a sports show on ESPN.
I heard he had a gig doing sports.
Yeah, and he also, I thought, I'm not anybody to judge, but I thought he was doing a great job. I thought he was very good at what he was doing. I thought he kind of found his niche. He can tell his little jokes here and there and talk.
I hung out with him a couple of times out of the club. And he's actually a very personable. He can be a very personable person when he wants to be.
Oh, of course he can.
I guess when he goes on stage or when he's around industry.
Most people can. I occasionally find somebody who likes you too. So it's kind of like, it just all kind of flows that way. I've yet to find anybody to like me too much. It's like, that.
That was lovely at your 40th anniversary. And thank you for your service to our comedy country.
It was quite a night, and it's as I said there, it was kind of I'm what's the word, humbled by the fact that I've been allowed into the world of comedy, not being a comedian and not being very funny, but that's been a great ride. I've met a lot of varied people, a lot of different people, mostly really good people, occasionally a dick, but, it's, comics are people too, and they're good people. Everybody's just trying to get ahead, and I was very thankful for being in the world of
I hope. Eddie, do they speak to you directly and say, hey, we think we might do a soft kind of limited reopening in August or September? Do they keep you guys abreast of those things? Or
no, but I spoke with someone the other day, and they were saying they were hoping to open mid-June, the end of June, but then the other day, LA came out with, there's going to be another 3 months of.
Well, that ended up being a health official that shouldn't have spoke on the record. Garcia.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, he cleared it up on one of the CNN or one of the networks. He said, no, she spoke It's not an official thing. She's saying ideally to get back to where we were, the quickest would be 90 days. It wasn't really actually.
Okay. So then that's not a given at this point.
So can I still use this? It says.
Yeah, what do you want? That's funny. I've been trying to bartend at home, and what I found is that all I do is get drunk. Nobody else drinks.
I force myself. I'm drinking about half of what I used to. I shouldn't be drinking at all, but
it is 40th. I love it. One drink ticket.
I'm afraid of fatter because
I love all that. It was like I said, it was a great night. It's just been fun. And Gene, thank you so much for doing this. I really do appreciate it. And before you go, I know you've been dying to get one of these. I have a gift for you. It's a t-shirt.
Is that a blouse?
A t-shirt.
Oh my God, it's beautiful. What color is it? Black? Oh my God, that's stunning. Is that a Donna Karen?
It's actually they use the slogan DKNY. So
that's all right. That's okay.
It was designed on a bar napkin, and it's a keepsake. There's only 200 of them in the world right now. But I will send you one. And again, I really
has that one been worn?
No, brand new. But if you want a worn one, I can give you this one. But thanks again, Gene. I really appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. I hope to see both you guys very soon. I love you both very much.
You take care. Thanks for doing this. Talk to you soon. Oh, and tell Bianca she's going to have to help me start TikTok or whatever.
I'll forward the message.
That's right. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Tell all your friends about this wonderful podcast of ours, all the information you get, all the people you get to see at home or at the bar as opposed to on stage. So till next time, have a good day. Stay safe.